webcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, it's Penny. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Beautiful.
Nathan, I think you're muted.
Thank you, Jordana. Oh, it's been a rough start. Okay, let's start again. Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining us today for NASPA's live briefing, Know Before You Go, the 2019 NASPA Annual Conference. My name is Nathan Victoria, and I'm the Senior Director of Recruitment, Engagement, and Volunteerism. I'm pleased to have some great guests with us today, but before we start with the presentation, I'm going to go over some brief intro slides. So a few technical notes before we begin, and then I'll get to our PowerPoint. At this time, minimize all other applications so that you can see and hear our presentation today. This will also be an interactive session. We'll ask questions throughout, so please, we'll test that out. Currently, you should have a gray menu on your screen right now. And somewhere on that, you will see the audio control panel, which usually defaults to being open when you log in to GoToWebinar. However, if it isn't, you can access the audio controls by clicking the arrow next to the word audio on your menu, which will open up one of these two options for you. This will allow you to choose between telephone or mic and speakers, which you can switch between the presentation if one stops working well for you. To use your telephone, use the access code and PIN located on your menu, not the ones here on my screen as they are provided here for an example. Attendees will be muted throughout this session. However, if you have a question or comment during the presentation, you'll be able to send it to us using this questions box on your menu. Again, you can open it by clicking on the arrow next to the word questions. If you are having technical issues, we will respond to you privately. You'll need to view your control panel to see our responses. So why don't we try giving that a chance right now? So again, open up the questions area, and why don't you type in where you're viewing from and how many people you currently have there. So again, open up that section and type in where you're coming from and how many people you have going there, watching with you. One person from Somerset, Kentucky, UC Irvine, Fullerton, California, University of Houston, just me. Arizona, Tucson, just me. Great. University of Chicago, Georgia, IUPUI. So it looks like we have a good representation. Looks like the chat questions box is working. So thank you all for giving that a try. So notify that you are, we will be recording this webinar, and we'll send an email out to all individuals afterwards. We also are doing some captions, and we'll give some instructions on how to do captions in just a little bit. I'm going to stop sharing this intro PowerPoint. If y'all bear with me while I switch to our other PowerPoint that we'll be using today. Let's see. Hopefully everyone is now seeing the Know Before You Go PowerPoint. And to start us, we will start with introductions. So we are very lucky to have a couple fantastic hosts that you will see more of in LA. But I'm going to pass it off to now Dr. Penny Rue to introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Nathan said, my name is Penny Rue. I've had the honor for this past year serving as the volunteer board chair. My day job is vice president for campus life at Wake Forest University. I've been an engaged, loyal NASPA member since 1977, long before you were all born, perhaps before your parents were. So it's really an honor. I also had the wonderful opportunity to live for a number of years in Southern California, and so super excited to go back to a place that is warm and sunny in March.
Thanks, Penny. Penny will be popping in and sharing her wisdom. We saw, for those of you that filled out the questionnaire, many people, Penny, were curious about how you pick sessions. And I know that educational sessions are one of your favorite parts of the conference. So when we get to that slide, I'm sure they'll be excited to hear your tips and tricks.
Great.
Joining us also is Wendy Endres. Wendy is one of the co-chairs of our engagement subcommittee, and she is popping in right around 10:30 Pacific time, so she'll be joining. Also, I'm here with a couple of NASPA staff. So, Cerise, do you mind introducing yourself first?
Hi, my name is Cerise. I'm the Assistant Director of Culture of Respect, which is a NASPA initiative, and I've been on the Engagement Committee for 2019, and you'll see me in the Engagement Lounge and the First Time Attendee Lounge at the conference.
Great. Again, my name is Nathan Victoria, he, him, his pronouns. I'm the Senior Director of Recruitment, Engagement, and Volunteerism with the NASPA staff and one of the staff liaisons for our engagement and local arrangements committees. And Jordana.
Hi, everybody. Jordana Taylor. I am the Associate Director for Recruitment and Engagement and Volunteerism here at NASPA. I've probably interacted with some of you on the First Time Attendee Facebook page, and I will see you all in Los Angeles, also in the Engagement Lounge and in the First Time Attendee area. And this is actually my slide. My apologies. So a couple of things to just start us off. We're very excited about our upcoming conference in Los Angeles. As you can see, as of yesterday, we have 7,303 attendees who are registered, and 2,700 of you, a little over 2,700 of you, will be first-time attendees to the conference. So that's a really big number. We're really excited to welcome everybody to Los Angeles, and we have over 700 education sessions. So there will be something for everybody, regardless of your role on campus or your functional area, or even if you're looking to see if there are other things within student affairs and higher education that you'd like to explore.
So just as a reminder, we are recording for those of you that joined late, and we'll be sharing the recording and the PowerPoint sometime tomorrow. This is just a pie graph of who's attending the NASPA Annual Conference. I think there's the perception that, and this is all 7,000 individuals, that, NASPA's only for senior leaders or NASPA's only for undergraduate students. As you can see, the largest chunk of attendees at the NASPA Annual Conference are mid-level professionals, followed just slightly by new professionals, and then graduate students. So if you look at NASPA as a whole, about 65% of our membership are made up of graduate students, new professionals, or mid-level professionals. But we really do run the gamut, and that's one of the great things about the NASPA Annual Conference is you'll have the ability to kind of network and connect across professional levels.
All right. We're great. We're all turning on our cameras so you can see us, which is awesome. So you'll be able to recognize us and flag us down in LA. So we're starting from the beginning, which is arriving to the airport. So you know that LA is a car-friendly city. And so we'll share these slides, but these are just a few tips for options for getting from the airport to the convention center, which is downtown. There's also more information on the website and some maps. This is a good one here. And if you are in the LA area and you are driving in, these are a few resources for if you are going to park. And I would recommend doing some research and carpooling since it is going to be crowded.
Speaking about carpooling, we are piloting this year a commuter lounge. So it's within the larger engagement lounge, and we're going a little old school, but we'll have a pin board for those of you that maybe want to meet a new colleague and commute in together. And that will be open starting on Saturday.
I would also encourage those of you who are on the First Time Attendee Facebook page, or if you haven't had a chance to join, certainly join now. That would also be a really great place to start connecting with others if you're interested in commuting. For those of you who are going to be staying in Los Angeles at any of the hotels, we will have shuttles planned from 5 of the furthest hotels to and from the LA Convention Center. Those hotels are listed right there, and there will be ADA shuttles available on demand. Each hotel in the lobby as well as at the convention center will have this sign available. It'll tell you the different routes and the hours when the hotel shuttles are in operation, as well as where the shuttle boarding locations are going to be. So this should give you an opportunity to plan out a little bit of your shuttle journey to and from the convention center. This is also posted in the first time attendee Facebook page for those of you who want to reference it sooner.
Well, we know that some of you are probably staying at Airbnbs or bunking in with friends. You may not be on the hotel shuttle route. So there, even though LA is the king of the cars, you can get a tap pass that allows you to use the buses or metros. And you can log on to these websites to do that in advance. And then there's a bike share program, which we know is going to be attractive to many of our members. And then, of course, the various ride-sharing apps, Uber or Lyft. And remember that almost all of them have a sharing option that's quite a bit less expensive. So it's another way, even if you can't identify someone in advance to share a ride with, you can still share via that service.
Around LA, we also have some micro mobility options that you can certainly take advantage of. Some of you may already have some of these options in your area. So dockless bikes, scooters, bike shares, as Penny shared. There are some bike and scooter laws that you might have to become familiar with, but any apps that you download will have some information. There's also an article, and we'll post some of this information on the Facebook page as well, about the types of places and the different organizations that actually have dockless electric bikes or dockless scooters, such as Lime or Jump.
So we talked about getting to LA. So now once you're actually in downtown, kind of where do you go from there? So the next couple slides will overview some specific maps and things going on. The West Lobby is where registration will be, and that will be the first stop that you'll want to go in. Registration will open Friday at 4 p.m., 4 to 7. On Saturday and Sunday will be open starting at 7:30, and then on Saturday closing at 5, on Sunday closing at 5:15. For those of you that are coming in for just one day on Monday and Tuesday, you can check the conference app for more specific times. Within this West Lobby and Concourse Foyer area, though, there's a lot of engagement things that are going on. And this is, again, the first stop that we want you to go to. And you can see the times. Registration, so once you walk in, there's our exhibit hall, we have an accessibility counter. But within this NASPA Commons or Concourse Foyer, there's a lot of different ways to get involved. Penny, in a little bit, we'll talk about the bookstore and a couple of the book signings that are happening and how you can have that information. The NASPA Foundation booth, and we'll talk about the foundation in just a little bit. It's not too early to think about Austin in 2020, so learning about that, as well as a couple other opportunities within that space. And again, for those of you that have questions, please feel free to continue to type them on the right side and we'll address them as we continue forth. In addition to kind of the concourse foyer, we wanted to focus a little bit more, though, on this concourse hall and the different opportunities located within there. We have various lounges, and I'll pass it over into Cerise just a little bit to talk about the first-time attendee lounge. But within the faculty lounge, so there's a lounge just for faculty. There's a lounge just for vice presidents of student affairs. There's also a lounge for sensory space. So if you just feel like you need to disconnect or kind of separate from the community, we'll have yoga mats. We'll have some materials to help center individuals. So that's a sensory space. And then I mentioned the engagement lounge and the commuter area. So that's what will be going on within 152BC and 153B. Within the commuter area, we'll have that pin board, as well as your kind of non-stop shop for toiletries or other solutions that you might need. Bobby pins, dry shampoo, clear nail polish. We really thought about mirrors. So for individuals that don't have the ability to go back to a hotel, what you'd be able to go to. There is a question around storing luggage. Unfortunately, we won't have a place to store luggage. There will be space in the engagement lounge. I will say, though, it won't be staffed. So I think, unfortunately, you'll have to navigate that on your own. I do believe, though, in the convention center towards the South Hall, there is a coat check / luggage check. So you would be able to do that and drop that material off there. Cerise, you want to talk a little bit about the first-time attendee lounge and some of the first-time attendee programming going on?
Yes, thank you, Nathan. So the first time attendee lounge is going to be fantastic, and we hope it's a place where you can come meet other first time attendees and also learn more about how to engage with the conference and beyond the conference. So we're going to have some NASPA VIPs, so folks who are involved in our KCs and other NASPA initiatives come into the lounge and give little mini talks and sort of talk to first time attendees. So we encourage you to come during those times. You can stop by anytime. It'll be cozy. There'll be some games. There'll also be some opportunities to win prizes, including one very special registration for the Austin conference in 2020. So I'll be there. A lot of the folks on the call will be there, and we encourage you to stop by and check it out. Anything I missed, Nathan?
No, as Cerise was noting, so there's also places to plug in. So we know that plugs and kind of you'll be on your app, you'll be tweeting, you'll be kind of navigating the session. If your phone is dying, so you'll need your cords, but we will have various stations for y'all to plug in and recharge, meet a new individual, and as Cerise noted, there's programming that will be going on throughout the days in the engagement lounge. We'll talk a little bit about some first-time attendee exclusive events that is in the engagement lounge as well. There was a question about the solution station, the bobby pins, clear nail polish, all free and all accessible. So we know that it is hard when you're commuting in for a conference. I did it a couple weeks ago. It's, you're not used to not having a space to go back to. So the engagement lounge and the first time attendee lounge will really hopefully be the space for those of you that are local and commuting in to kind of connect with new individuals, but also kind of take care of yourself as well. Educational sessions. So this is the website view, and again, when we send the PowerPoint recording and access, Jordana did a great job of doing some screen shares of how to navigate the actual conference webpage and looking at the different ways to learn more information about creating your itinerary or updating the website. I will say, and we'll talk about in just a little bit, the My NASPA app is your go-to thing on site. We do still print a print program book, and you would have had to noted that you were interested in that when you registered, and only about 2,000 individuals of the 7,000, said they're interested in a print program book. But that was printed a month ago, and frankly, it's already out of date. So we really encourage you to use the app, and kind of the website will try to update as much as possible, but the app will be doing on-site changes, and that will really be the place to go to for that information. There are a variety of session types, though, and the next two slides will kind of overview the different types of sessions and a direct link to the program book. So I'm going to pass it now over to Penny to kind of just briefly talk about the different types. And Penny, I think probably on the next slide, once you talk through all the different types, kind of how do you pick which sessions to go to? And there's over some session time blocks, there's over 70 sessions. So how do you kind of navigate and think through what you want to go to?
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Nathan knows that back in 2010, I was the program chair, so it was my job to pick all of the sessions, and I'm truly a session geek. I hope some of you are. There is space still available in some of our pre-conference workshops. If you want a deeper learning experience, those are available for an extra charge. It's a modest charge, and those are half-day or full-day topics on something really of great interest to you that you would really want to dig into. I will say that I still am connected to colleagues I met in that deeper learning experience, so it also serves that that function. Very excited about our. Yeah.
Could I just add one thing about the pre-conferences shortly? So there is one free pre-conference that we're doing, which is the Navigating Your NASPA experience from 1 to 4 p.m. on Sunday. It's pre-con 45. So we're pretty close to capacity, but for those of you that want a deeper dive to get to meet Denzel Sweet, who is our incoming NASPA board chair, get to meet some NASPA staff, learn more about NASPA benefits, and the first-time attendee orientation. We'll be wrapping that up. So again, that's pre-con 45. You can just show up, but we're trying to not hit capacity, so we're asking people to fill out information. I will say, Penny, just to your last point, I'll kick it back over to you for the keynote speakers. My first NASPA I ever went to, I did the API Apex, Asia Pacific Islander Knowledge Community pre-conference, and it was a great opportunity, I think, like you said, to meet still friends that I'm in touch with, but to do a deeper dive, and in particular around a specific identity that's salient for me.
Yeah, thanks for that. Moving on to our keynote speakers, very excited about the array of keynote speakers we have. Very different. We're only doing one a day, and we're not programming against any of them, so you don't have to choose between a session and a speaker. The opening speaker, hopefully you'll all be at the opening session. That's not a question. Amanda Nguyen and Janet Napolitano will be the 9 a.m. session on Monday and Tuesday, and then Sean Harper will close us out. Sean Harper is in many ways a really close colleague of ours, and so he should give us a very personal touch. But each of these individuals has a very important story to tell, and I commend those sessions to you. SA Speaks is where we speak from our hearts quite often, more like a TED Talk type or sort of a personal testimonial, and they're very powerful. That's the kind of thing you can easily drop in and out of. You're not really committing yourself. And then the featured educational sessions, this is the bulk of the program, those 700 some odd programs we were talking about. Some of you may have proposed a session or had a session accepted even as a first-time attendee, because we have sessions from all levels of the profession, including, as you see here, scholarly paper sessions and poster sessions, which are pretty much as you might think they are. Poster sessions you can drop in and out of and get that information very quickly. Extended learning sessions on the next page are, these are deeper dives. So these are going to be longer, and these are things that our conference program committee think really align with the conference values, and we think you'll find them very, very interesting. And then innovation programs, these are programs that we think have are cutting edge for our field, and so something worth thinking about. Doesn't mean they're more important than another session, but it's something to take a look at. When I think about picking sessions, I would always go through the program booklet. This was back in the day when I first got there, and pick 3 or 4 sessions per time slot that I was interested in. When push comes to shove, you'll probably end up choosing on geography because you won't have a lot of time. So you might not know that when you're first looking. So think a little bit about all of that. So I always start with, what is my current role and what is going to help me tomorrow do my job better? Then I think, what are some big picture programs that are stuff that I maybe am just interested in, but I'm trying to think like my boss thinks, and get a little bit, or like my VP thinks, and get a little bit of a bigger picture. Then I think about rock star presenters. So there are stars in our field. You already know their names from your literature and reading. And so, if you've seen Mary Lee Brashani, if you've read her work and you think, oh my gosh, she's presenting, I should go see her. Yes, you should. You should go to those. But even if you're not that interested in the topic, these are the rock stars of our field. And then my fourth category are wild cards. What is something that just intrigues you? And go ahead and put that on your list, and you might find yourself there. So those are just some of the strategies that I've employed through the years to choose my sessions.
Cerise, go.
What I definitely heard from Penny, though, is that she did some pre-planning. So she looked before she got there. She looked while she was there. So you can, consider those 4 categories at several points and narrow into where you want to do.
And don't be afraid if you walk into a session and it's not what you thought it was to sneak out. It's really fine.
True.
Penny, can you talk a little bit about the professional competencies? I think some of these individuals on the call are newer to that, and I know we categorize along that route.
Yeah. I would love for you all, if you haven't already studied our professional competencies, to go take a little look at them. Many of you, your grad programs would have organized themselves around those competencies. That's a very common technique right now, so you might be familiar with those. But you can go in and we code every session to what a professional competency it gets at. So if you're really interested in advising, or if you're student advising, or if you're really interested in law and policy, you can create your own tracks to follow those threads through the conference program.
Great. And we will be finding the professional competencies for those of you that don't know, and we'll put it in the chat box just so you can access that PDF if you're curious about that information. Before I put it, Cerise, for the next slide, I will just say there were a couple questions. with the exception of the pre-conferences, you do not need to with the exception of the pre-conferences and the extended learning sessions, you can just drop into any session. There is not any pre-registration. It's really just capacity and location, as Penny noted. So because you are all registered for the annual conference, you are registered for the full experience, the receptions, those sorts of things. Yes, Penny.
One thing I want to remind you too is to have your name badge on at all times. It has two purposes. One is because they're actually guards. These are not NASPA people. These are convention center people that will be checking you as you come in. The other is we are a very networking field, and people will want, as they're sitting down in a session, they will want to look at your name tag and they will say, oh my gosh, you're at Colorado State. Do you know so-and-so? We went to grad school together. And this is how a lot of, or they might say, oh, I've never heard of your school. Tell me about it. This is a lot of how NASPA networks are made. So don't be afraid to ask those questions yourself or to respond warmly to those questions when you get asked.
All right. Another place that we definitely recommend you visit is the exhibit hall. So we have over 130 exhibitors. We're going to offer you candy. We're going to offer you free items, but also really valuable information about their products and services. I will be in the exhibit hall too with some of my NASPA colleagues who are going to talk about NASPA initiatives. Speaking of places to plug in, we will also have chargers for your cell phones and benches to sit on, and also just general information about the exhibit hall, about the conference, and about NASPA. There are also dedicated breaks where there will be snacks and coffee and poster sessions, and you will likely get an alert on your phone about those. And if you plan ahead, you can be the first one to get the popcorn or the coffee. And you know, it's a great space, especially if you need a little bit of a break, you want to do some chatting and walk around. And there's a headshot lounge, which is free, and I encourage you to check that out and also kind of get your name on the list. Usually there's a sign up and a wait.
Yep. So Golden Key International Honor Society is the sponsor of the Headshot Lounge, and they're actually right across from each other. So you'd go to Golden Key first to be able to get the slide or the ticket, and then you go be able to get that headshot. And as Cerise noted, it is free. So you will need to plan accordingly, but that's a great opportunity. Penny, how have you used the exhibit hall in your experiences over the conferences?
I mainly go there for chocolate. There's never enough time to eat, and so I'll go through and look for the best chocolate and then talk to people. No, I'm really proud to say that Wake Forest has an exhibit space this year for our well-being assessment. So do take a look at that. We'll have chocolate. I made sure that that's the case. No, it's funny because a lot of times if you're an entry-level person, it's a little intimidating because it's the people who sell us furniture and who sell us health insurance. And so you may feel like I don't have anything to learn here. But then there are people like Jamie Washington and his consulting group with great materials about your own professional development. And all of our key publishing colleagues like Sage Publication and Josie Bass will have displays there, and often they will have giveaways. You can put your business card in a jar and come away with free books from them. So we also will have breaks at different times to help attract you. It's important for you to know that for NASPA, our exhibitors help fund our conference. The fee you pay to come to the conference is just a portion of what it takes to put that conference on. We want to thank our exhibitors. We want to let them know we care about what they're doing and that they matter to us. And so as a NASPA citizen, it's good to go by and visit the exhibit hall. Yeah, so now I get to talk about the NASPA Foundation, which is really an exciting program. One of the things that you know about higher ed in general is we're very philanthropically inclined. And so the NASPA members a few decades ago decided that much as our campuses have foundations that help support, NASPA needed a foundation. And so the NASPA Foundation is primarily a member-supported unit that creates philanthropic giving to NASPA to help fund our research, to help fund new professionals, to help fund conference travel. And the foundation booth also has a wonderful silent auction. So they will have different, might be a basketball signed by Mike Krzyzewski, or it might be, tickets to one of your regional conferences. So the foundation booth has really, and a silent auction, you just put what you are willing to pay and what you think you can afford. You can't get trapped by that. If someone bids more, then you're not on the hook. The pillars of the profession are people that we recognize annually that are just what it sounds like, people who have been essential to the development of the field. And people all across the country give money to the NASPA Foundation in the honor of those people. And then there's a recognition ceremony. So you will see some people will have a name badge that says Pillar of the Profession on it, and be sure to chat with them, because that means they've really done a lot to contribute to the establishment of the field.
So one of the volunteers, so Wendy, that will be joining us, actually is in the current class. So we will congratulate her when she is able to join. The couple other things about the foundation. So one of the other newer things they're doing this year is looking at acknowledging and honoring the stars in our lives. So, we're in LA, we had to do something with stars, but for a minimal donation, if you want to put up the star with someone that has been a mentor or in your life that's been helpful, that will also be at the foundation. The pillars of the profession will be celebrated on Monday evening, and it's an open event. So there will be a foundation donor reception on Tuesday evening, and that is closed to only individuals that have donated. But the pillars reception on Monday evening is actually an awesome opportunity to kind of get involved and see. And I believe, actually, Wendy, are you there? I see you on the control panel.
Almost.
Okay.
Give me a sec here.
Okay. We'll let you kind of figure out the rest of the technology, but we'll have Wendy introduce herself when she gets all settled.
So the bookstore. So it's not surprising that most of us are interested in reading, and even if you just are finishing a graduate program, believe it or not, you will want to read again. So I went and got a show and tell last year. I picked up this book, which was new last year, Transformational Encounters, edited by my friend Lori White, and I was able to get it inscribed during the conference. So if you buy a book from an author who is part of our family, you can go to their session and get it autographed, and that will be a very personal reminder. But the NASPA bookstore is featured prominently, as has already been mentioned. But you do want to see what is current. And do you want to tell them a little bit about the programs that are associated with these two volumes?
Absolutely. So we will. So Penny talked about the book signing for Transformational Encounters that happened last year. We have two new books that will be debuting actually at the conference. So the first is Student Affairs Fundraising, Raising Funds to Raise the Bar, and then Crisis, Compassion, and Resiliency in Student Affairs. I believe both of the books also have sessions. So if you're interested in maybe learning more about it and then following up afterwards, I will say that not every year, but many years, especially the newer publications, will sell out. So NASPA does a extra discounted on-site price. So there's the non-member rate, there's the member rate, there's what you find on Amazon, and then there's the even more discounted on-site rate within the bookstore. So bookstore will open on Saturday, will close on Wednesday. So and it's in the engagement lounge or the concourse foyer area. So you'll definitely be seeing it.
Yeah, they don't want to take those books home.
No, we do not.
So we want to recognize, obviously, that just because you're a first-time attendee to annual conference doesn't necessarily mean that this is your first time attending anything with NASPA. So there are multiple ways to meet other attendees and to really connect with different people from different backgrounds and professional levels. As Nathan mentioned, we do have our Navigating NASPA pre-conference, which is happening on Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m., pre-con 45. And that's broken up into 3 different parts. So the first part of it is going to be a chance for us to all meet you introduce you to some NASPA staff. It's a way for us to be able to bring NASPA to you instead of you going to the website and sort of poking around. So you'll have a really great opportunity to meet NASPA staff and volunteer leaders from different regions and different committees. And then we will go over NASPA in general for those of you who may not be as familiar with NASPA as an organization. So whether you're a longtime member, a first-time member, or if you're not a current NASPA member, the second part of our 1 to 4 session is going to cover just a little bit about NASPA and everything that we do and all of the different outreach and programs and initiatives that we have. And then the last part will be with our first-time attendee conference committee to sort of formally orient you to the conference itself. So definitely take advantage of that. We do have some other orientations that will be taking place on Monday as well as different check-ins. Opening reception is on Sunday, just right after opening session. That is going to take place, and Nathan, remind me exactly where on the map. We have a wonderful event planned for everybody. So I do encourage, especially if this is your first NASPA annual conference, to attend our opening reception after the opening session with Cal Penn.
Yep, so it's in the LA Live Center. So the majority of the sessions in the opening session will be in the South Hall of the LACC. And just a couple blocks away, we're actually closing down a street. And for those of you that are local to the area, kind of Chikern Court and kind of the Microsoft Theater and Microsoft Live, that entire area will be transforming into 5 different LA area neighborhoods.
So definitely check that out on Sunday. Monday, and this will all be in the NASPA app as well as the program book, but another great way for you to connect with other attendees are at your regional and institutional receptions. Many of them are going to be taking place on Monday evening. So check those out. If you haven't been involved with your region as part of NASPA, I think it's a really great way to learn about what people are doing at institutions within your area or within your state. The Grad Prep and Community Fair is also a really excellent opportunity to meet others, as well as an opportunity for you to meet with graduate institutions from all over the country. So this is taking place on Monday evening as well, from 7 to 9 p.m. at the JW Marriott. And it's a 2-part fair. There will be graduate institutions. So if you're thinking about your master's, or if you're thinking about a PhD or an EDD or a certificate program, this is a great way to just sort of see what other institutions are offering and all the different types of programs that they have. It's also the Communities Fair, which will connect you to all of our constituent groups. So our knowledge communities, our divisions and groups, and we have a wide range of them for people to learn about things that are happening within their functional areas, the types of institutions that you're at. So we certainly encourage you to attend the Grad Prep and Community Fair. As Nathan and Cerise have already mentioned, we have a fantastic engagement lounge that's going to be open and welcome to all of you, and we certainly hope you take advantage of the meet and greets that are happening in there, as well as different sessions that we will be holding. And I would like to say the Tuesday night party is probably one of the funnest FTA events that we have. That's the night at the Novo. We'll have some performers, there'll be a DJ. It's a great way to sort of end what we're sure is going to be a really exciting and vibrant conference for everybody.
So these are all in the conference book. We just wanted to specifically highlight some of these specific initiatives. Regarding the Grad Prep Community Fair, Jordana mentioned knowledge communities, we've mentioned regions, we've talked about other divisions and groups. If that doesn't translate for you, I think that, again, 1 to 4 on Sunday, session 45, was specifically built to help learn more about NASPA and help you navigate. One additional comment just within the program book and within the app, we give some guidance to you if events are closed. So for example, there is the Past Presidents Luncheon. So the presidents and board chairs of NASPA occurs on Monday. That's a closed event. If you're not a past president, that's not necessarily an event for you. However, the receptions that Jordana noted, the Grad Prep and Communities Fair, some of these other lounges, the educational sessions, you can assume if it doesn't say closed, it is an open invite. And there, the receptions on Monday and Tuesday are a great opportunity to learn maybe more about an institution. Perhaps you're job searching or you're interested in going to a different area. Even if you're not in that region, which is the geographic location location of your area, you can go to other regions and learn more about what's it like to be in Region 1 in the Northeast or Region 5 in the Pacific Northwest, etc.
So if you registered for the conference and indicated that you wanted to participate in our first-time attendee mentor-mentee program, then hopefully you received an email from me which allowed you to go into the NASPA website, create a profile, and match with a mentor. If you did not receive that email, you can still do that. So these two buttons are on the mentoring page, which is out of the NASPA annual website, and there's a first-time attendee page, and both will link you to this process, and you can also get in touch with me if you have any issues. And the idea is that you can touch base with someone who's been to the conference before the event. You can meet up with them at the event, and you can also touch base with them afterwards. And it's just another way to widen your network and maximize your enjoyment of the conference.
So we've done some new technology this year, and what was a manual process is now a little more automated. But no, as you become more specific in your request for a mentor, or if you're looking for a mentee, that will limit the number of mentors that are available. So just something to think about as you continue moving on. Just specific events to your calendar, we won't go through each of them. Again, just some of the different sessions. We will call out the Night at the Novo, as Jordana noted, is open for everyone, not just first-time attendees. There are a couple post-conferences that we're doing. And then finally, Wednesday from 9 to 9:50, if you don't have a session already in mind, Jordana and a few of our other colleagues are trying a new take on how to translate your experience from the NASPA Annual Conference after that experience. So how do you stay involved? How do you get more information? What's the virtual ticket? All of that general information. A new kind of engagement that we're doing this year is we're kind of, this is a little bit of a carrot to get you to go to some of our events. Visit the NASPA Foundation booth and learn more about that. Go to the first-time attendee networking check-in or the grad prep fair. So you'll get more information. Stop by the engagement lounge to learn more. But essentially, as you might not be able to see here, there's a grand prize package of early bird member registration to NASPA 2020, a flight voucher to Austin, and a virtual ticket fast pass for one lucky individual that completes and attends all 6 of these events. And behind on the right-hand side is what the sticker challenge will look like. So more information, again, you'll be able to get on site at the engagement lounge. So I know there are a couple questions around kind of packing, what to wear, and that's what these next couple slides are for.
So we are really excited to have you all join us in Los Angeles. However, the weather is going to obviously vary. And hopefully in a moment we will have an image here for you. If you go online right now on weather.com, you can actually see a 10-day or multi-day forecast for Los Angeles. If you will be attending TPE, it looks like you have some 70-degree days until Wednesday, March 6th, when it's supposed to rain, as well as Friday, March 8th. But starting Saturday, March 9th, until the end of annual conference, we are looking at some pretty wonderful sunny 60-degree days. Maybe a few clouds here and there, but it's going to be 65 and sunny on the day of our opening session and opening reception. So we are very excited for that. And so make sure that you just pack accordingly. Definitely be prepared for different weather changes. Be aware of where you're going to be walking to, if you're going to be walking between your hotel or the JW Marriott, and bring what you think you're going to need. But certainly don't overpack. I wouldn't suggest like bringing your like rain boots and your umbrella for a potential rainstorm. There's also quite a number of places in downtown LA where you could pick something up pretty easily. There's actually a Target that is like a few blocks away that I have already scoped out in case you have any needs. Okay, and when you pack, you want to think about what you want to wear. A big emphasis is to think about being comfortable because comfort will allow you to enjoy the conference and you're going to be doing a lot of walking. So please think about shoes that you will want to walk that 10 to 15 minutes in, maybe do it a few times a day. Penny's nodding, which is great. In general, also, yeah, so like comfort with your shoes, but also wear clothes that are going to make you
feel comfortable and confident, and also professional. I think Penny's going to share any additions, or maybe Wendy wants to.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I will tell you that comfort really does make sense. The days where everybody was expected to wear a suit are long gone. On the other hand, you're not wearing sweatpants. Nicely tailored clothes. You really don't want your clothing to be what people notice about you at the conference. You want it to be your ideas and your competencies. So this is not a dress to be noticed, dress to impress moment. It's a dress for comfort and for long days, for going from 8 in the morning until perhaps midnight in the same outfit with the same shoes.
Day to night wear.
I think Wendy might be frozen.
Oh, and she's smiling at us, which is nice.
So hopefully she'll get back connected. So there was a question. So the majority of the sessions are in the LA Convention Center. Because of the size of NASPA and over 70 sessions, the LACC unfortunately doesn't hold everything. So as we noted, many of the receptions and meetings will be occurring in the JW Marriott, but there are a few sessions that will be over in that space. So it's about a 10 to 15 minute walk, as we've noticed. So that's why there are sessions in both spaces, just to clarify.
So I'm sure you all know this from attending any and every meeting, whether it's in a convention center or a hotel room, is that those rooms can change drastically temperature-wise. So be sure that if you tend to get cold, that you bring something to keep you warm in those spaces. So layers are really great. And as Penny mentioned, you don't have to wear a suit. You definitely want to be comfortable. This is a great time to show off your institution, whether it was where you went to school or where you're currently working. But again, you maybe want to leave the sweatpants for when you are lounging at the end of the evening back in your hotel room. Wendy, did you want to add anything about what to wear?
No, I maybe one thing, I just want to say, hey folks, I'm the Vice Provost for Student and Academic Life at Evergreen in Washington State. I appreciate joining you a little bit late. My biggest message is literally look at your closet and figure out your most comfortable professional attire and pack and wear that. To do anything else is going to be self-sabotaging. So that's the lens with which to bring to your suitcase.
And as you can see there on the slide, we don't have any coat or item checks that are going to be available at the LA Convention Center. So if you're bringing a bag, be sure that it's something that you can easily tote around with you. As Penny said, it could be anywhere from 7 o'clock in the morning until midnight that evening. Make sure you bring chargers. We will have charging stations throughout the conference and in the engagement lounge. But it's always good to just have a couple of chargers with you. Always wear your conference badge. We cannot stress that enough in terms of being able to get to and from different sessions and events. I put on their sunscreen, mainly because I think you should wear sunscreen every day, all the time. But there also will also be yoga and Zumba and different wellness events throughout the conference. So if that is in your wheelhouse, definitely bring out, your workout gear. So that might be something extra that you'd like to go ahead and pack, and then as well as any small snacks that you'd like to have, just in case you're not able to grab something in between sessions or in between receptions. It's just always good to have something extra in your bag.
So there's a question that just came in around running downtown. And I know the general areas, we will have a few running maps available because there are certain paths that the local hotels do recommend. And that might be a great, within the app, which we'll talk about in a little bit, there's a wall. So that might be a great way to meet a new NASPA colleague and possibly run that way. Yeah, Penny.
I'm not a runner, but I am a walker. And our past 2 visits for conference meetings, I have walked downtown a lot. It is a car-friendly environment. They don't typically yield right of way to pedestrians. They don't have long crosswalk lights and stuff. So you really do need to have your wits about you, particularly as you're a runner and you're used to a little bit more of a right of way situation.
There are a few other wellness activities that are included. So Zumba and yoga are free. And they're currently wait lists and they're pretty long. But NASPA did partner with SoulCycle and Orange Theory. And we're doing a tour to Griffith Observatory, excuse me, a hike up to Griffith Observatory on Sunday. So there are some other wellness activities that will be going on in the area.
I also wanted to just note there was a question about business cards earlier as far as how many to bring. I can't answer that for you. I don't know if anybody really has like a hard number, but it's always good to have them with you. And if you don't have any formal business cards or you're running low, I certainly suggest like creating some to bring with you. But a really great thing to do with your business cards is when you get some from someone, note on the back of that, if you can remember to, how you met that person. So when you do go back to your hotel room to try to connect with them later on in LinkedIn or via email, you don't just see a business card that says Penny Rue and a big giant question mark. Hopefully you met Penny at a regional reception, or you met Cerise at the exhibit hall to learn about the work that she's doing with NASPA. So bring as many as you think you can or think you'll need. But I don't know if anybody else has anything to share in terms of business cards and sharing those out.
I like to stash them in like all my different blazers, so it doesn't matter what I'm wearing. There's a business card there.
The one last piece that I will share about items to bring, and all of us have been to conferences. I always pack a morning and an evening outfit, and I almost never change. So I think that's something as you're packing, like every conference, I'm like, no, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna go back, and then I, meet a colleague, and we end up talking too long, and I don't have enough time to go back to my hotel room. So I think as you continue to pack as well, that would be my tip, and be realistic with kind of the number of outfits and the number of
on the business card.
Yeah, no,
on the business card question, I would encourage folks who are doing an institute or a pre-con to bring a chunk, because you might want to distribute them to everyone in the pre-con or the institute. So something to keep in mind. And keep in mind that throughout the conference, you're going to have an opportunity to put your card in for door prize drawings, or presenters will use business cards sometimes in their sessions. So if you lean more toward, I'm not going to bring too many, probably bring more than you're thinking of. You don't need hundreds, but so again, as Jordana was saying, there's no specific amount, but people use it creatively throughout the conference.
So apologies about the cutoff, but you can kind of tell the hashtag for the conference is NASPA19. So we encourage you to kind of look at the different hashtags on the different social media apps. There's a museum of selfies in LA if you're interested while you're down there. But on this next slide, we have the various links you might need. So the conference website, our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter handles, and then we actually will have a first-time attendee Facebook group as well. For individuals. Planning your time, I think we talked about being intentional and trying to think about things beforehand. But the My NASPA app is kind of the piece we did want to mention just briefly. Again, we did a screen share about how you can navigate to the My NASPA app. For those of you that don't have an Android or Apple device, there is a web portal to access that, and the link is on the conference website. And you'll see I did screenshots of the Android Play Store as well as the App Store and what it looks like. So it's powered by Socio. It's called My NASPA, and this is new. So if you've been to a NASPA event last year that was powered by a different organization, this is the conference app that we'll be using. And we sent the passcode in a previous email, but it's just hashtag NASPA19, all capital letters, and that's how you can get into the app. One of the cool things with the app as well is there's a new Shake Connections feature. So you can do that beforehand and connect with other individuals. There's some algorithms that they have as well. But we're really excited about the app. We've heard some good feedback at our other conferences that we've done. But again, My NASPA is the app you'll be looking for. The passcode is hashtag or pound NASPA19.
So once you get on site, again, you are going to need your conference badge for everything, including opening sessions. So if you're going to be getting in on Sunday, make sure that you come to registration. Sunday registration will be open from 7:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. So that's something to keep in mind. I would make that your very first stop once you get into the LA Convention Center. again, did you download the app? If you haven't, definitely do so. You can start connecting on the app. I mean, I cannot stress enough that this is going to be your best friend while you're there. If you haven't already done so, set up and check your schedule, see if anything has changed. We will be pushing out notifications via the app if there's any schedule changes or session changes. And then walk around if you have time. Obviously, if you're getting in just on Sunday or Monday and need to get to a session right away, that might not be feasible, but definitely give yourself time, if you can, to just walk around and familiarize yourself with, say, the walk from the LA Convention Center to the JW Marriott or to LA Live, or if you've noted some different sessions that you want to attend, just familiarize yourself with the different ways to get there. You'll also have NASPA staff on site who'll be more than happy to direct you during the conference. And you can check out a couple of places to get food and coffee. Like Cerise mentioned, there's loads of snack breaks and coffee breaks that are going to be happening in the exhibit hall. Those are in the NASPA app. And if you're looking for a quiet place to regroup, there's a lot of different seating options in the LA Convention Center. But as we noted here, we would like to suggest that you come to the Engagement Lounge, which has wonderful seating and quiet spaces and places for you to work throughout the conference as well.
So with that, we are done. There are questions, though, that I know many of you might have. So again, on that right-hand side, in the questions box, open it up and send some notes. Wendy, Penny had to jump off for another meeting, but she gave a great overview of how she selects sessions. So while we're waiting for people to kind of come in, because I know you also were a programs chair back in the day, what's your suggestion for how to kind of navigate the over 700 sessions and know what to attend?
It's so overwhelming in an exciting way, right? There's so many amazing things and colleagues to hear from, and 700 sessions is a lot in 2+ days. I generally, and I'd be curious to hear what Penny said, because I don't want to be redundant, but if I am, just wave a hand and tell me to pause. I really rely on the filters, and I focus initially on level, the target audience. Is it targeted for new professionals or grads? Is it targeted for mid-level or SSAOs? That helps me get a sense of the type of content that might be there. So I try that slice first, and then I like to slice it by competency area, and I like to slice it by like content or topic. And those are a little bit different. They all intersect, but they're a little bit different. And when I slice it those 3 different ways, then I have a better sense of where things are surfacing more than once. So I might slice by SSAO, and I might slice by the social justice and inclusion competency, and something might come up in both queries, and that will be a sign for me to look more closely at that session. I always try to have 2 or 3 in each time slot, so that if I walk into one and it's not really meeting my needs, I can quickly make a judgment and try another one. Or if sometimes there are sessions that are, the sales pitch is so great that the room is full, and I want to have a backup plan. I also think strategically, this is tied to how you kind of plan your day out. I sometimes make decisions about where things are located, because the reality of walking from point A to point Z may be really not the inefficiency of it, or the illogical of a back and forth that is going to take more time than I want to allocate to being in transit. I'll make a choice based on location. Not solely, but it can inform the choices to make. But I really value the filters. I think they really help me to hone in more closely on what's going to meet my interest. I also think I actually take time before I click on the filters to say, what do I want out of this conference? You know, what are the top 3 issues on my campus? What are the top 3 issues, you know, on my desk right now, that I might find some colleagues that can help me think about it differently, or give me some tools that could be useful. And I will do my self-assessment before I look at what the conference has to offer. And then I use the filters to help me hone in on sessions that'll be a good fit. So I don't know, did Penny and I do it differently, or?
Similar but
Yeah, you
different.
had some overlap. Yeah, that's some new ideas.
Yeah, I will say the other piece for me as well, and one of the cool things being on and liaising with Wendy and Penny and the rest of the conference leadership committee is we literally go through every submission. So, and every submission gets touched by the conference leadership committee at least 3 times, and that's something that people don't necessarily realize. And what's great this year, I've seen a maybe not as much of an evolution, but there are sessions that are programmatic and functional and about things going on campus. But NASPA also does a really good job about what about sessions for me as a person? So navigating student affairs as a queer person of color, or navigating a dual career job search, or and I think we are people as well, and I think as a profession we do a good job of acknowledging that. So in the sessions you'll see that reflected as you filter through the 700 sessions, that there's not just programmatic things, but there's also more personal things, and being able to find that bridge between both of them. We are at time. Oh, yeah, no, Wendy, please. No, are you sure? Because I was just going to answer. There's a couple quick logistical questions that were answered. Presentations will be available afterwards in 2 different ways. One way is there is a NASPA virtual ticket, and there are over 70 sessions that were specifically assigned that individuals can access virtually during the conference. We also have a archived recording, and there's voiceover PowerPoint for those sessions, and that is available for an extra purchase. Additionally, we invite all of the presenters to upload their PowerPoint, and as a NASPA member, you have the ability to access not just this annual conference, but all of the conferences and those PowerPoints. And at that Wednesday, you can take it with you session, we'll talk more about how you can access that. Last but not least, registration is available, as we mentioned, starting on Friday. But even if you're not registered for a pre-conference, you can go and get your badge early. So you don't need to wait until right before your session. When registration is open, you're able to go and get your name badge and then leave. So that is something that's available. Wendy, since you joined a little bit late, anything closing from your perspective as one of the co-chairs of engagement, or kind of as you think about the conference, things to share with the individuals that are still with us?
I would just say it's so great to have so many of you interested in learning in advance about how to have the conference be most successful for you. We're super excited to have so many first-time attendees. It's one of the primary, or one of the key goals of a national conference is to support our new professionals and our first-time attendees, and to bring them in to the NASPA family. And it's going to be fun to see you in Los Angeles, and we want nothing but for you to have the best experience you can have. And folks on the first-time attendee committee and the conference leadership committee are eager to be there to support your experience, as are the NASPA staff. And this is a great way to interact and get your questions answered and get the kind of support that will help you have a terrific experience. And it's going to be an amazing conference. So you made a great choice to come to Los Angeles.
Great. Well, with that,
That's it.
we will finish. Thank you all for staying with us. Again, we did record this session, and we'll have the recording as well as the PowerPoint out to your emails, hopefully by the end of tomorrow at the latest. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
See you in LA.